Welcome to the revolution. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Nothing, and I mean nothing, about the mobs you've witnessed in Minnesota and in other far left-wing pockets of America is organic or homegrown. From the networks using signal group chats to identify and track ICE agents to their sophisticated PR campaign. It's well-funded and well-organized. You ever wonder how they were so quick with their printed signs and updated slogans and photos of their newest martyrs?
Look at this. Here goes a group of professional activists renting a U-Haul, getting signs out of their trucks. This is not organic. These are the same printed signs. And now they're heading to the federal courthouse.
Do you know who's organizing this?
The PSL, Party for Socialism.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to sign?
I'm just going to observe. Thank you, though. Which group is organizing this?
Party for Socialism and Liberation. We've been out here for a few years.
Well, this is textbook, and the training is getting serious. And we're seeing it in places in New York City with workshops for self-defense against ICE. They even show you tactics and how to move. And then there's solidarity marches that actually invoke their true heroes, Mao and Lenin. And of course, like all revolutionaries, they smear and dehumanize as a prelude to the executions.
I think there should be something equivalent to the Nuremberg trials after this is all over.
I agree.
And to make it clear that once we're back in power, which we will be, this is going to happen. And the statute of limitations on murder is
0.
Never.
So who are the organizations and some of the individuals behind all this? Now, it's not just one, but a national network of socialist, communist, and Marxist-Leninist cells in the U.S. that leverage the tragic fatality into nationwide protest ops. So the Party of Socialism and Liberation, that's responsible for a lot of the protest signage. It's very active. We checked out their website, where the homepage reads, "For the party to live, capitalism must end." How catchy. Now, their goal is to destabilize the West and undermine trust in our institutions, and eventually dismantle capitalism and replace it with a Marxist communist framework that eliminates private property in favor of state-owned enterprises. And remember, purportedly, it's all for the good of the workers, the common good. Now, one of the lead thinkers behind this resistance movement is a woman named Maria Stephan. The Vermont native runs something called the Horizons Project. Now, just days before Preddy's death, Stephan went on Colbert's show to brag about how people are learning to disrupt ICE.
Ordinary people coordinate a range of different tactics: protests, boycotts, strikes, walkouts, mutual aid, to build power, to disrupt injustices, and to liberate themselves from oppression. I've got in my pocket here, Stephen, a whistle. So what people are doing is they are organizing neighborhood groups. They're learning how to intervene. And one of those ways is blowing a whistle to let their neighbors know that ICE is there and that they are there to stand with them and to defend them.
As an expert in civil resistance, she's popular on the speaking circuit these days, invited by useful idiots who don't understand the ultimate endgame.
I'm a member of the Freedom Trainers, which is a group of trainers that is focused on supporting trainings and workshops on nonviolent resistance and non-cooperation. The training starts with a grounding in our context, understanding how authoritarianism and fascism are functioning in the United States.
Then there's non-cooperation training, the fruits of which we saw in Minnesota.
It's student walkouts. It is federal workers who refuse to obey illegal orders. It's businesses that refuse to allow ICE onto the premises. So we do trainings in how non-cooperation works.
Now, notice they stress the supposed nonviolent nature of their resistance, and there's some of it, indeed, that's nonviolent. But there's always the hope, and I would say the goal, of getting a violent response, eliciting a violent response from authorities.
The key is being able to maintain discipline, both to bring more people into the movement and to make the opponent's use of violence and repression backfire so that they pay a price for targeting a predominantly nonviolent discipline movement.
So they pay a price. Aha. Now, that's where the tragedies of Alex Preddy and Renee Good come in. These folks aren't even trying to hide what they want. Tim Walz, who's supposed to be, by the way, calming things down, gave an interview with The Atlantic and said, I mean, is this Fort Sumter? And he said, it's a physical assault. It's an armed force that's assaulting, that's killing my constituents, my citizens. Exactly the type of rhetoric that motivates the Marxists, that incites the radicals to storm hotels, hunting for federal agents, the same people who bring babies to block ICE operations and to throw ice chunks at car windows. So how do you defeat these well-funded, well-organized revolutionaries? Well, certainly not by caving, that's for darn sure, but that's exactly what people like liberal Republican Susan Collins wants in Maine. The illegal alien population there has grown, and there's also a Somali contingent there as well. But rather than enforce the rule of law with smart tactics, Collins apparently got Kristi Noem to rein in ICE. Now, that's just going to be seen as a gift to the revolution. Of course, if it were up to Collins, we'd be passing mass amnesty tonight in the U.S. Senate. Don't forget that. But we defeat the revolution by staying the course, by prosecuting criminal conspiracies to impede ICE, and also their funding networks, and by reminding Americans that their safety and U.S. sovereignty will not be negotiated away, not now, not ever. And that's the angle.
Make way for the Caped Crusader.
I don't give a damn if this is outside of decorum. People are dying on our streets every single day in this country. Look me in the eye. Can any one of you go home to your children and tell them that you did everything you could to protect their classmates? I want you to fucking do something. I'm demanding that you act with some semblance of a fucking spine.
If you needed another example of how mentally ill this movement is, there it is. Batman's not a crime stopper anymore. He's there to stop the crime stoppers. And how little do you have going on to try to punch a sheriff in the face in the middle of a workday when it's 5 degrees?
Quit it! Knock it the back up! Back up!
I want you to notice something there. Those guys aren't Trump guys that are getting yelled at. Those guys work for Walz. Those are the local county cops. I told you Tampon was going to get it together. Tom Homan's in town, and he's not leaving until we straighten it out. They're also following the money and making cases.
We know pretty much who's funding this stuff. These are paid insurrectionists, paid troublemakers. We'll say it very plainly. Elections have consequences. The people want law and order. And we have a silent majority. You know, we have a silent majority of people. They don't go and riot and everything else, but they like what we're doing. They like having a safe city.
The people want law and order, and that's what they're going to get. Crime just dropped to the lowest level since 1900. But some people still think they're above the law. Former CNN host Don Lemon was just hanging out with Busta Rhymes last night in L.A. But this morning, he was arrested at the crack of dawn. Lemon was in L.A. getting ready to cover the Grammys when he was handcuffed in his hotel room, not consensually. He was taken into custody for storming into a Minnesota church. Lemon joined a rowdy mob that busted into Sunday Mass, trapped the congregation in the pews, and started threatening them, screaming at them, intimidating them. They told kids their parents would burn in hell. They yelled at them that they were in the devil's house. Parents couldn't find their kids because they were blocked. A woman was injured trying to escape. Lemon got up in the pastor's face.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
Lemon's been charged with 2 counts, interfering with freedom of religion and depriving the right to worship. That last count was designed to protect blacks from the KKK barging in on their houses of worship. Here's Bondi.
Make no mistake, under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
The head pastor of the church says this: "We are grateful that the Department of Justice acted swiftly to protect City's church so that we can continue to faithfully live out the church's mission to worship Jesus and make him known." The media watched a church service be terrorized and shut down, but most of them haven't seen the inside of a church before and are somehow defending Lemon.
Don Lemon has been an enemy of the MAGA movement for quite some time. He's disliked by the Trump administration.
He is a Trump foe, and this is another example of the administration targeting a Trump foe.
That is stark. It is reality. There is, as we have spoken about, the potential of a major chilling effect, although I certainly am not going to shut my mouth. I know that you won't either.
Chilling effect? Is that journalist going to stop storming churches now that Lemon's been busted? Because not a single journalist has ever done this. Why? Because it's illegal and despicable. Don Lemon wasn't on Trump's target list. He's not significant enough. He just happened to do something so stupid he put himself there. Journalists can't commit crimes and then get off because they filmed it. You can't break into someone's house and interview the owner while your crew steals the furniture. Don Lemon wasn't even a reporter documenting a protest that spontaneously turned into a riot. He was in on the crime. Lemon met up with the mob ahead of time. He knew the target and admitted he was in on the operation. Shutting down a church service was the goal. Lemon knew it. It was premeditated.
They're getting the operation together. Again, this is an operation that is secret, that they invited folks out. Can't tell you what is going to happen, but you're going to watch it live unfold here on the Don Lemon Show. There's a reason they have so many white people here. I'm just going to be honest. It's because of the operation that they're doing today. It's important to have allies, as they said, white allies here. So that is what I could say. I turned our camera off of them because they're giving some critical information here. But there we go. Everybody's ready to go.
When does a journalist turn off their cameras? His job is to give us critical information, not hide it. He's admitting he's conspiring to conceal evidence of a crime. Even CNN's like, no bueno.
But he clearly knew something was taking place that day with the protesters. He told his viewers on YouTube to stay tuned because there was something about to happen.
At one point, when Lemon was inside the church, he said he was surprised that the cops hadn't shown up yet, acknowledging that he knew it was against the law. At one point, Lemon notices kids are crying and says they're being traumatized. And then he says, oh, well, that's the whole point of the operation. The indictment says children thought their parents were going to die. Parents were grabbing their children and fleeing for safety. Lemon's mob was menacing families and calling them Nazis. He was encouraging and supporting the reprehensible behavior, and at one point thanked the ringleader. Lemon wasn't an independent journalist. He was on their team. Listen.
White supremacist!
What's that going to mean?
This is a white supremacist agenda!
Why do you say that? No, me, dude, I'm not here.
Whose team are you on?
Come on, man.
Don Lemon.
This is Don Lemon.
All right, man.
All right. Well,
sorry, brother. I'm so sorry.
Really?
No, I'm so sorry.
He's very much on our team. Lemon was even handing out refreshments to the crowd.
Do you want some coffee?
I'm okay.
You good?
I'm taking it.
Don Lemon is on the front lines right now.
Thank you.
Follow Don Lemon. He ain't on
CNN no more, so he right here in the front line.
Independent, yeah.
Tell him to come get some coffee.
Hey, Don Lemon got some coffee for y'all.
And donuts.
And donuts. And he ain't talking about police.
Trump called Don Lemon the dumbest man on television, but now he's the dumbest man not on television.
I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court.
If Don Lemon was covering the news, he would have stayed outside the church and interviewed the congregation leaving. Imagine if Matt Lauer and his buddies are driving around East Hampton and decided to light a cop car on fire just as a protest. And then they get caught. And Lauer says, "Officer, I'm innocent. I recorded the whole thing on my phone. I put it on YouTube." No. Lemon even went on a show afterwards and called everybody in the congregation a white supremacist. That's not going to sit well with the jury in Minnesota. And the counties they're pulling the jury from in Minnesota, a lot of these counties are Trump country. Lemon posted the whole crime on his channel and made money off of it. And he's going to need a lot more of that now because his lawyer doesn't come cheap. He hired Abbe Lowell, Hunter's attorney, who rang up millions in legal fees repping the first son. Good thing Lemon was making $6 million a year at CNN because this case is going to cost him. His attorney says, quote, "This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court." The unprecedented attack on the First Amendment was Don and his boys canceling Sunday Mass. Biden arrested plenty of journalists who were filming on January 6th. And they didn't even go inside of the Capitol. They stayed outside and were still convicted. Imagine if Nick Shirley and a crew bum rushed a synagogue or a mosque, started making kids cry, yelling they were all going to hell, and then claimed he was just a journalist. Prosecutors would drop the hammer. But Jane Fonda says the wrong Don's in handcuffs.
Okay. So I know Don Lemon. My husband created CNN, and I will fight for their right to speak, which is guaranteed in our Constitution. They arrested the wrong Don.
The freedom to worship is nearly absolute in America. If you can burst into houses of worship and start threatening people, America's over. It's toast. We might as well live in the jungle. And journalists don't have a right to shut down church services. No one has that right. Being a journalist doesn't put you above the law. I know that's what many people in the news think, but I know Don Lemon's probably going to say he was targeted because he was black or he was gay, but being black and being gay doesn't put you above the law either. Don Ronaldo Lemon, yep, Ronaldo's his middle name, is innocent until proven guilty, and he'll have his day in court. But until then, the judge says he's not allowed to leave the country. And unfortunately for Mr. Lemon, he has to cancel his cruise to the south of France.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.